What if I told you there's a button inside your brain, an ancient self-destruct sequence that has already cost you a fortune? No, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a feature of your evolution. Think about the last time you saw your investments drop or hesitated on a big financial decision. That knot in your stomach, that paralysis, that's the button being pressed. And every time it gets pressed, you lose. But what if you could rewire it? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, I'm going to show you how a simple two-word reframe can turn that panic into power and help you disable that button for good. To understand this self-destruct button, we need to go way back. Not a few decades, but hundreds of thousands of years. Your brain is running on some seriously ancient software designed for a world of saber-toothed tigers, not stock market charts. Deep inside your brain, there's a small almond-shaped thing called the amygdala. This is your fear center, the core of your fight-or-flight response. When our ancestors saw a predator lurking in the grass, the amygdala would fire up, flooding the body with adrenaline and cortisol to prepare them to either fight for their life or run like hell. In that world, hesitation was death. Thinking a rustling bush was a tiger when it wasn't? Minor inconvenience. Thinking a tiger was just a rustling bush? Game over. So, our brains evolved to be hypersensitive to potential threats and losses. Now, let's fast forward to today. You open your laptop and see your investment portfolio is down 10%. To your amygdala, that sharp, red, downward trending line is basically the fangs of that saber-toothed tiger. It doesn't see a temporary market dip or a long-term buying opportunity. It just sees danger. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing gets shallow, and panic starts to set in. Your brain's ancient threat avoidance system kicks in, misreading this financial data as a life-threatening emergency. The rational planning part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, gets completely sidelined by all this emotional chaos. In this state, you're not thinking about long-term strategy. You're just thinking about survival. This is exactly why so many people panic sell during a market downturn. They are literally trying to run away from the predator, locking in losses that might have recovered if they'd just had a little patience. This ancient fear is made so much worse by a powerful mental quirk first identified by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky: loss aversion. Their work on prospect theory uncovered a wild truth about us. The pain of a loss is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of an equal gain. I'll never forget a friend of mine who bought some tech stocks that he was really excited about. A few months later, the market dipped hard and he panicked. The thought of losing the money he'd put in was so overwhelming that he sold everything, locking in a massive loss just to stop the pain. A year later, those same stocks had not only recovered but had more than doubled, and that regret still eats at him. This one bias is the master switch for your financial self-destruct button, and it triggers a whole bunch of irrational decisions. Because you're terrified of taking a loss, you might hold on to a losing stock for way too long, just hoping and praying it gets back to what you paid. This is often called the disposition effect. On the flip side, the second a stock shows a nice little profit, you might rush to sell it to lock in the gain, terrified you might lose it if you wait. You cut your winners short and let your losers run, the exact opposite of what you should be doing. But the most damaging part of loss aversion is staying out of the market completely. The fear of any loss can paralyze you. You keep your money in a savings account where it feels safe, but it's really just being slowly eaten away by inflation. That fear is so powerful it can blind you to the biggest risk of all, the opportunity cost of not letting your money grow for the long haul. This aversion to any loss is the silent killer of building wealth. While fear is a big one, your brain has a few other self-destruct buttons it likes to press. One of the sneakiest is the dopamine loop. Dopamine is often called the reward molecule, but it's more accurate to call it the motivation molecule. It's released in anticipation of a reward, driving you to go get it. This is the same chemical that fuels addiction, and it absolutely messes with our finances. The thrill of a risky stock pick, the rush of watching crypto go wild, or even just the simple buzz of an online shopping spree can all trigger a dopamine hit. Every little win reinforces the behavior, making you crave more. Pretty soon, you might find you're not trading based on a smart strategy, but for the thrill of the chase, taking bigger and bigger risks to get that same chemical high. This gets even worse when you add in another mental flaw, the now bias, or temporal discounting. As humans, we are wired to want rewards now, not later. That new phone or fancy vacation offers immediate, tangible pleasure. Saving for retirement in 30 years? That feels abstract and boring. Spending feels good. And saving is a problem for future you. This is why sticking to a budget or investing consistently feels like such a battle. And to top it all off, we have the pressure of status anxiety, which social media pours gasoline on. When you scroll past posts of friends and influencers with their lavish lifestyles, your brain's reward circuits light up, connecting all that stuff with social acceptance and self-worth. This creates a powerful urge to keep up, pushing you towards overspending and debt, just to silence that nagging feeling that you're being left behind. So, with all this ancient wiring and these powerful biases working against us, what chance do we have? How do we finally disarm that financial self-destruct button? The answer isn't to fight your brain head-on. It's to create systems that bypass the faulty wiring. The single most effective strategy is to automate your good habits. This is like putting your financial goals on autopilot. You can set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings and investment accounts the day you get paid. You set it up once, and you're done. This simple move takes emotion and willpower completely out of the picture. You're no longer faced with a dozen tough decisions every month about whether to save or spend. The choice is already made. Your wealth just builds quietly in the background, no mental battles required. The second critical step is to build awareness and create a pause. Financial self-sabotage loves it when you act on impulse. The next time you feel that urge to panic sell during a market dip or make a huge unplanned purchase, just stop, pause, take a deep breath. This simple act can calm your amygdala and give your rational brain a chance to get back in the driver's seat. Ask yourself, is this my logical brain making this call, or is my fear and reward brain talking? Creating that little bit of space between the emotional trigger and your action is how you take back control. Once you've automated your systems and learned to pause, the final step is to actively change the way you think about money. It's all about changing the stories you tell yourself. Instead of seeing a market downturn as a terrifying loss, reframe it as a sale. When the market dips, great investments are temporarily on discount. If you're in it for the long term, these are fantastic buying opportunities, not a reason to panic. Just that simple shift in language can completely change your emotional response from fear to excitement. Here it is. 2 words, opportunity sale. That's how I disarm the panic. Every dip, every crash, it's not danger, it's a sale. Just that one mental flip has saved me thousands. Next, you have to fight that now bias. Make your future goals feel more real. Actually visualize your future self, the one who is financially secure, retired comfortably, and free from money stress. Make that vision so compelling that it feels more real than the quick thrill of an impulse buy today. At the same time, celebrate your small wins. When you stick to your budget for a week or hit a small savings goal, give yourself credit. This creates a healthy, positive dopamine hit that reinforces your good habits, basically hacking your brain's reward system to work for you instead of against you. Finally, you have to tune out the noise. Curate your social media feeds to cut down on status anxiety. Unfollow the accounts that make you feel like you're not enough or that trigger your desire to spend. Your financial journey is yours and yours alone. Comparing it to someone else's highlight reel is a guaranteed recipe for misery and bad decisions. If this video resonated with you, hit that subscribe button, because we're all about overcoming these mental traps on this channel. But before you go, I want you to be honest in the comments. What's one financial decision you regret that was driven by fear or impatience? There's no shame here, just a community of people trying to do better. Your story might be the wake-up call someone else needs to hear, so let's get vulnerable and learn from each other below. Your brain isn't your enemy. It's not trying to ruin your financial future. It's just working with an ancient rulebook in a modern world it was never built for. That self-destruct button, that messy combination of your amygdala's fear response, the sting of loss aversion, and the pull of dopamine, is just a leftover from our evolutionary past. But understanding how these systems work is the key to disarming them. You now know that these behaviors are driven by predictable psychological triggers, not by some personal failure. By building systems that automate your success, creating a pause to let your rational mind take the lead, and reframing your perspective to focus on the long game, you can override that old self-destruct sequence. You have the power to stop being a victim of your own psychology, and finally disarm your brain's financial self-destruct button. But here's the truth. This is just one of many traps your brain sets for your money. The next one is even harder to catch because it feels like you're doing the smart thing. Click this next video now to see the mental trick that fools even the smartest people and how to avoid falling for it.